I'm Jennifer, this is my husband Jeff, and we're here at mysolaradvisors.com. And today we wanted to talk a little bit about the benefits of going solar. For me, a big one is, and kind of maybe you can blame it on my real estate background, is the difference between renting versus owning. I just hate to see people to continue to rent their power. To me, I feel like you're just throwing money away every month at the power company. Electricity rates don't go down. Obviously, electricity rates go up, and they continue to go up. And that electricity bill, it's going to come every month, whether you like it or not. It's never going to go away, and it's going to be there till the day you die. So for me, when I think about solar, I think about stop throwing the money away at renting your power when you can actually own your power. Protect yourself against the rate increases that are inevitable, and actually add value to your home. Again, that whole real estate background. I look at the fact that, some people are spending $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a year on electricity. Multiply that times 10. Over the next 10 years, you're spending $25,000, $30,000, $50,000 a year, or over the next 10 years on power.
Yeah, most people don't even think about it. They're thinking about their monthly bill. If it's $200 a month, well, that's manageable, but
Yeah.
I'll explain in a minute why that may not be manageable in the near future because of how rates are going up, and they're inevitably going to go up. But $200 a month is still $2,400 a year. A lot of people don't think about that.
Yeah.
So in 10 years, even if the rates didn't go up at all, you spent $24,000 on your power. That's throwing your money away at renting your power.
Yeah, and again, had you taken that money and put it towards actually owning a system during that time frame, you would have paid the system off. Once the system's paid off, then it's just free power at that point, and you've added that value to your home. Some other benefits of going solar, obviously, I always call it the warm and fuzzy part of solar, but there is the environmental impact. If you think about how many tons of CO2 you're keeping out of the air, when you equivalent that to how many trees you would have planted, how many cars you would have taken off the road. Again, like I said, I call it the warm and fuzzy part of going solar, but it really does make a difference.
Well, when you're looking at, like what she was saying just a minute ago, as far as the amount of power that you're producing and what it's going to equate to on a CO2 thing, our smallest systems, the smallest ones I've ever seen in the market are, let's just say your average system size is going to be at least 8 to 10 kilowatts or more. I mean, it's just the way it is. But a smaller system might be 6 kilowatts. And you're still having to plant, we could show you at least 4,000 to 5,000 trees in order to equate how much CO2 you're taking out of the atmosphere. And so, you can sit out there and plant trees all day long, or you can get a solar system that really does help with the CO2 footprint that you're, helping out with. And then when you're talking about savings, even if you're saving somebody, as far as adding value to your home, you're saving, let's say you're saving $100 a month. Well, what's $100 a month on a mortgage these days? The interest rates are fairly low. They're going to start to go back up again. But let's just say, hypothetically, you got a savings of $100 a month. Well, on a mortgage, that might be $18,000 to $20,000 a month on a mortgage. $18,000 to $20,000 added to your home, as far as what you're saving on a mortgage. For $100, what's $100 on a mortgage payment? That's something to think about. So if you're going to buy a house down the street that's saving you $100 a month on the power bill, then you got to add in your head, it could be an extra $20,000 value on that house because of how much you're saving on a monthly basis on what you would have had to pay in power. So if it's a $200 or a $400 bill, it multiplies. It's a massive amount of money. And over time, with rate increases, it could be really big, especially in places like, California. Back in 2000, they were around 11 cents per kilowatt hour. That's right before all that. A lot of people might not remember this, but most people do, and that is that if when they had the rolling outages, the blackouts in California that were going on, they were the first to have to update the power grid because there were some rolling outages, some blackouts that were going on. So they had to update it. There was a federal mandate that was instituted on that. They had to get out of that old grid and start to update the power grid and start to bring additional power. Just to update the power grid, you're looking at what happened there was they kind of started doing rates kind of like 2 to 3% 2 to 3 times a year, almost like boiling a frog. It's like where you don't really notice it, and then added fees on the back end. And what eventually happened is net metering became an option. Solar became an option where you didn't have to worry about you're storing up the power onto a battery anymore. Now the grid contains and stores your power that you produce off of your roof. And because of that, that's when solar started to skyrocket, started to be used. And people in California that were getting all the incentives to go solar back then, they're laughing their way to the bank. People still are laughing their way to the bank because their power has gone up so high since they had to start updating the grid that they've gone up into the 30-something cents per kilowatt hour. So average is 27 cents per kilowatt hour right now, is what I heard. And so triple. It's gone up 3 times almost, or at least 2.5 times what the bill would have been. And so if you would have gotten solar way back then, about 5-10 years ago, it would have been paid off probably by now with the money that you would have had to pay anyway. And now it's just all savings. So a lot of people are turning their power off during the day and that kind of thing, just try to save money and not watering their grass or whatever, that kind of thing. But they're not having to do that anymore because they've already paid off their solar system that's producing all that power. And so what we can do is show you exactly how much money you're going to save, most likely on a short-term basis and on a long-term basis, based upon what we anticipate on future projections of rate increases. And I can explain without question what I believe is going to happen to the rates and what even other people, other third-party publications have been saying what the rates are expected to do. And it's going to be pretty drastic. They're still going up quite frantically in California. I think they had about 2 years ago, they had a 28% or something increase in just 1 year in just San Diego alone. And it's happening across the country. So it's not your 4 or 5 or 6% annual rate increases that they've averaged since 1960 anymore. Now you're going to see really big jumps on an annual basis because they have to update the grid. They have to pay for that. And so that's why Bloomberg says if you think that small energy bill is going to stay that way, think again. So what we're going to show you is hypotheticals based upon 5%. We could show you based upon 10% annual rate increases, and we expect to actually see higher than that. But even at 10%, you can expect your bill to double every 7 years. So that's a big deal. But if you're saving somebody, let's say right now, $200 a month or whatever, what's that on a mortgage? That's what you got to ask yourself. So, people worry about aesthetics. And I say, well, shoot, if for a patch of black glass on your roof in the next 20 years, if I could save you 6 figures easily, would you be willing to have that black glass on your roof? And there are many other benefits to going solar that we're going to talk about, and one of those is safety. But
yeah, like Jeff was saying, we really haven't gotten into it too much, but as far as being able to store your own power, a lot of times when we talk to people, their biggest concern is when there's a power outage, they want to be able to still have power. Whether they've got a deep freezer full of meat that they've gone hunting for, or they just want to be able to still have access to the internet because of work, issues. So a big thing, obviously, having solar and having a battery and being able to harness and store your own power. If there's a power outage, you still have power. Another thing Jeff has mentioned in an earlier video is the fleets of electric cars that are coming. You have solar, it's like having a gas pump on your roof. And imagine there's a power outage. Well, guess what? Your gas pumps won't work. Your gas generator won't work. But if you have solar and you have a battery, you will still have power. The sun is still going to come out every day. You will also have gas to fuel your car because the sun will come out every day and you can fuel your electric car. So for us, from whether it's just a normal power outage due to, a storm or whatnot, or, we all know, take a look at the news right now. It's crazy in our world. We are definitely in uncertain times. Jeff and I, we have 4 children, and our kids see what's happening on the news, and we're kind of trying to, not alarm them, but also educate them at the same time. So for me, I have a big passion for solar, not only to help people save money, stop renting when you can own your power, Obviously, there's the environmental impact, but for me, a big one is protection for you and protection for your family. You know, heaven forbid a foreign country shuts down our grid, and we are highly susceptible to that. Hence why, you know, there's federal mandates now to update our grid, which is causing our electricity rates to go through the roof. You have solar and something like that happens, guess what? You still have power. To me, that's huge. I mean, that's super huge.
Well, while we have the fact that we have this incentive right now is what's keeping power down just enough because they have to meet these mandates. Well, electric companies are working really hard, like I said, to create solar fields and solar farms so that they can keep people renting their power. So they're going to be producing that solar energy because they have mandates to meet, but they want to put people on special programs. When in effect, most people are actually going to pay more money for that program than they would if they were just renting their, doing it from the grid. And like she was saying, if you have a gas generator, it'll work for maybe a week or two if you have enough gas stored. Yeah. And then when they get, but what happens if the power grid gets shut down from an attack from a terrorist organization or from another country and that kind of thing? You're looking at possibly, weeks, if not months, if not a year before you have any power left. And then what, So you've got a means of being able to be really the only car on the road because a lot of the charging stations that are out there run off of the grid. Obviously, the gas pumps run off of the grid. So having the solar on your roof, if you were able to get a power source, I would recommend, because that's where the big push in technology is, and we give you all the details on that and what's available to you if you want to go ahead and get something now where you can store that power should you have a power outage. You got the panels on your roof, but good luck getting solar if there was an attack on the grid, because everybody else is going to be in line for it, trying to do the same thing, and it'll be pretty much too late. But if you already have power, if you already have the solar panels on your roof, and you have the right type of inverters where you can go ahead and get a battery system, or you can go ahead and get a generator backup or something like that, which you could do. Now the prices might start coming down slowly on those. Actually, probably pretty quickly, because there's about 8 or 9 new companies trying to come up with new technology around storing your power at home. And there's some advice that we can give you in those directions. You don't want stuff that's going to blow up in your garage. You don't want things that are going to be too heavy to replace that battery when it's due, because it's extremely expensive. There's a huge push in that technology there in that industry, and there's about 9 new companies like Mercedes trying to get into that marketplace. And so we can tell you more about that. There are some good generators that you can get and that kind of thing in order to produce that. And then the kind of inverters that you have, there's ways of getting just basically certain outlets to be able to work. For instance, your refrigerator and certain things that are necessities, maybe your washer dryer or some things like that are of necessity to you that you can live with. But don't let companies overcharge you on what type of battery system or generator and type of things that you can get. We have full knowledge and detail of what's new on the market, and we'll give that to you. And then you can take your pick. So if you want a little bit of a backup plan, at least until prices come down, because as more companies hit the market with a better technology, and that's the big push right now as far as the storage of the power, then in 2 to 3 years, we think it might be a really, really good time to do it, where there's going to be a lot less, things might drop a little bit in price. Where, usually solar systems are going up in price because of tariffs and things like that. Don't be so hyper-focused on the panels. I think the technology gone is about as far as they can go. But as far as the new technology and what they're trying to come up with right now is the better way to store that power for longer periods of time or for more efficiently. And so, again, you're going to want to be able to have that. A lot of people, I try to use this analogy. If you were to pay your car insurance, your homeowner's insurance, how much are you paying for that? And what are you getting out of it? Car insurance, you might be paying hundreds of dollars a month just in case you get into an accident. Or homeowner's insurance, same type of thing. And so what would you pay for the safety of what if your power went out? And the nice thing about this is, at a certain point, it's paid off. And then you're not paying for that anymore. And you've added value to your home. What if you could pay your car insurance or your homeowner's insurance And in 6 to 10 years, it's paid for the rest of your life, or at least your life and maybe part of your kids' lives. Would you pay even more for it? Yeah. So if we could save you money or get you right at what you're currently paying, doesn't it make sense that you're not throwing your money away renting your power, and at a certain point, it's done, and that portion of your power bill is paid for, and then you have an added safety net in case there was a elongated power outage? It makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, it's like, what's the definition of crazy? Doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different outcome.
That's right.
Stop paying your electricity bill to the power company every month, every year for the rest of your life. It's never going to go down. You're not paying anything off. You're not adding any value to your home, and you're not protecting yourself or your family. Go solar. I'm just kidding. Okay, so enough on that one. Obviously, there's a lot of benefits to going solar. We're very passionate about it. Obviously, we may be a little biased, but we truly believe in it.
Yeah.
So again, you can email us at info@mysolaradvisors.com if you've got questions. If you're wanting to go solar, looking at going solar, already have proposals from an installer in your area, please hit us up. We'll help you out. We'll answer your questions. We'll take a look at your proposal, and we'll give you our expertise. Again, info@mysolaradvisors.com.
Yes. And one more thing. I wanted to say something.
Always.
There are always other things that you can use to go solar. We have there are solar covered patios that cost very little.
Oh, pergolas. Yeah. You can
Like pergolas or sun patios, and
Covered
that are all a part of a kit. Covered parking for commercial. There's a lot of reasons to go solar with commercial, tons and tons. Like actually more reasons with commercial. We did a solar powered food truck. It runs quiet. Now I can teach you about how we did that. You can't hear the generator. You can't hear the in the background. So for concerts or for weddings and things like that, it's perfect. But the best thing about that is, besides the environment, is that those solar powered generators that are running the food truck all day, they're going to save somebody $3,500 to $5,500 a year in fuel costs, much less the environment.
Yeah.
So I can teach you all about that. That's what we're here for. So I've even thought about the semis that are out there running on the battery all night, where they're just breathing in the fumes because they're trying to stay warm. The guys that are driving semis, it's putting wear and tear on the engines. Boats, RVs. RVs are huge. Instead of having to park in an RV parking lot, you're not having to do that anymore. You can go off grid, which is great, and we've got a little invention that we've kind of put together that has, I can't really tell you a little bit about it, but you can kind of, see us, but I actually put it into this website that a friend of mine is running, that is, it's a portable system where you can kind of fold it out, and it's pretty neat how it works. It's real easy to maneuver and tow around. And so, if you have some questions, if you'd like to know more, shoot us an email, info@mysolaradvisors.com. Thank you.